like to welcome you both to this mediation session. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Will. I'll be your mediator this evening. And kind of before we get the process rolling, I need to figure out what each of you would like to be called. So I'll start on my left.
Patrick.
Very good. So I want to point out that this process is completely voluntary, and I'm happy that you both chose to come and see a mediator. The process is informal, so please speak freely, but respectfully, and hopefully working together we can reach an agreement that we all can agree on. My role as mediator is to simply facilitate the conversation between the two parties and help you all come to a decision. I will do my best to remain completely neutral and impartial and to listen to both sides. I do not have the power to make any types of decisions for you all, but I can control the process of how we get there. Just kind of think of me as a cab driver. I don't really know where you all want to go, but I can get us there. So you all kind of have to tell me where you want to go in order for us to get there, all right? And I will help us steer the way to get there. I do have the power to write up an agreement between the two parties if we get to that point. And if we don't get there today, we can come back for multiple sessions, and that's completely fine. In terms of confidentiality, I will not discuss anything regarding this case to anyone outside of here. I cannot control what you all say or do here, but any notes that are taken will be destroyed so that they can't be subpoenaed. If we are able to reach an agreement today, though, we will write that, and that will be a court-based document, okay? And then, since you're both here, I need you to sign the agreement that states that you are here willingly and agree to be mediated. So if you'll both sign that real quick then. Your signature there? Yep. Then your signature there. Yeah, just right there on the second one.
Right here?
Experience, these sessions go much better if one person talks at a time. We have active listening rather than preparing a rebuttal. Respect, no name calling or interrupting each other. Absolutely no profanity. And if need be, then we'll have a break, or I can talk to you each individually in a caucus. Okay, so that I've outlined how this evening's gonna go and how we're gonna do things, I need to get both sides of your story, okay? Now, I don't want this to turn into an argument where you're both going back and forth, talking about he said, she said type things. I just want to get a general sense of what happened from each of your perspectives. Now, what I would like each of you to do is while the other is sharing their perspective, please try to keep an open mind, listen, instead of trying to prepare your rebuttal and what you're going to say to combat what they said. So I'm going to start with the person on my left, and I'll let you share your side of the story.
I mean, you know, I came into the school, me and my brother, not from here, didn't know too many people, but came in and had a lot of support and, you know, help. It was going good, but the team was good. We were all playing good, but there was always like some tension. I don't know. I felt like Calvin was always like trying to pick stuff and just like always undermining and you know, snickering and talking behind my back and stuff like that. Just, I don't know, I felt like he just always was trying to like get under my skin. And it just seems like that just kept getting worse and worse. And you know, like I'm not gonna sit here and just take that forever. So, you know, I'm gonna stand up for myself, and I did. I started, you know, kind of going back at him, and you know, it just kind of escalated things, and Coach wants us in here.
Okay. Cal, do you care to share your side of things?
So I've been a varsity leader for 4 years, or going on 4 years. And whenever Patrick and his brother moved in, and it was definitely a threat because they were really good, but our team was already good without them too. And whenever they moved in and started playing with us, things got really competitive, sometimes almost too competitive where people would get hurt because they're trying to prove each other. And also sometimes, like when we were playing, I felt like not everyone grasped like how to do the play, so I would try to help and be a leader for our team. And whenever I would try to help, you know, he would come back at me with, you know, condescending comments, and just, you know, it kind of broke our team a little bit. And I guess I just feel a little bit resentful because I feel like if he wasn't here, maybe we would have won a championship this year.
So, Calvin, I'd like to kind of shift away from blaming anyone tonight, all right? This is neither person's fault, but at the same time, it's both of your faults. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to work to this together. So blaming each other and trying to point fingers on he said this, she did that, or they cost us this, or they cost us that, isn't gonna really be productive tonight. So let me just kind of get this straight, and you can tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, okay? So I'll start with Patrick. So Patrick, I hear that, you're a new person moving in to the school. It's difficult moving in. It's a lot of new stuff thrown at you. It's a lot of things going on, a lot of new people, new just processes, and then of course you have basketball added to the mixture, which I know it's not easy, entering into a competitive environment to where you're asked to try to compete and meet new people, but still also try to stay on good terms with them. Does that sound halfway accurate?
Yeah.
And it sounds like Calvin, whenever him and his brother both moved in, that it created some obvious tension. And that there were instances where, you're both competing hard and there's a lot of things going on that you both are really trying to be good, to help the team, but there's some conflict there and there's some friction there. So these moments that, you talked about, like whenever you're trying to step up and be a leader, what do you think about those moments? Like whenever he's sitting there trying to tell you what you need to do, what needs to be done, trying to help you with those, like how do you see those types of things?
Well, our team, that's something that, you need. Like, that's part of playing a sport, being on a team. Like, you keep your other guys up, you lead them. But for one thing, our team had plenty of leaders and good ones that actually knew how to lead. And instead, you would have Calvin coming in and attacking and, belittling you in front of your teammates, in front of everybody. And, I just don't think that's the way to go. I don't think that's he's not a leader. He didn't do what leaders do.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that maybe there were older guys that were already in leadership roles that you felt that you would want to listen to more at the time then?
For sure.
Okay. Calvin, you're a varsity captain for a few years now. So, what do you think about that? Just tell me your thoughts on that.
I feel like I'm a major leader on this team. I'm the point guard, so I lead every single play.
Please try to not interrupt.
A lot of the times. I don't know. It's just, I guess, you try to be a leader, because someone has to step up. And whenever you try to lead someone and then they just disrespect you and they try to make you look like a fool whenever you've been here and you've been great for the last 3 years, and then they make you look like a fool at every turn, it's not gonna work. It breaks the team apart.
I hear what you're saying. I get how both of those things can be frustrating. You're coming into a new situation and you're really trying to make your own, and you feel like people who've already been there might be trying to, aren't helping you as much as they should, and you feel like as a person who's been here, you are trying to help. Now let me ask you this, and I want you to both take a step back and just kind of think about this for a second. If the roles were reversed in the ways that you both have handled things, how would you feel about that? So think about this. I just want you to put yourself in each other's shoes and really try to take a step back and just see where maybe they could be coming from within what happened. So just take a second and do that for me, all right? So let me kind of get your opinions on that. I'll start with Calvin this time. Do you see where maybe, what do you think? If you put yourself in Patrick's shoes, what do you think about the situation?
I know it'd be hard moving into a new place, especially your junior year, not knowing anyone. And I know there's already a lot of competition on the team. But at the same time, I think that you should have respect for those that have already been here and that have already been working so hard to make this team great. There's a lot of pride in our program, and I feel like maybe he doesn't always understand that because he didn't grow up around here. They're just moving in.
Okay.
So that's where I'm trying to be a leader at.
Okay. Calvin?
I can understand that, and I can understand, wanting to, you are a lead, you've been here, you've been through building this team and being a part, and I get that. And, I feel like I try to come in and be a part, play my role, play hard, all the things right, all the little things right, and then I've still got you yapping on me and not, you know, maybe on other people, instead of us working together. I don't know. I see what you're saying though, and then I could be less combative maybe, but.
So let me ask you this. What are things that each of you want and need in order to feel like you can come in and be productive and successful within the basketball program? Because it sounds like to me, I've spoken to your coach, and it sounds like to me that you guys need to either figure things out or it may not end well for you. And I know that that can put some tension on it, and we are not going to force anything here tonight. It may take multiple sessions. But we need to get down to the root of what it is that you all can really kind of hold on to help you maybe get past some of those differences and become better teammates. Am I right? So we'll start with you, Patrick. So what are some things that, you know, I'm hearing that you feel like in a lot of ways, you understand where Calvin's coming from, but that you don't necessarily like the way that he goes about it. So let me ask you this. Calvin has shown that he's been around, he's been a team leader, he's already been put into a captain position, so obviously there's something there that maybe the coaches have baked in. But the way he goes about it towards you may not resonate very well. So for you, what do you think are some things that maybe could help you feel better within your basketball environment?
I mean, I just think, you know, less of like seeming like the jealousy. I feel like if it was more cohesive instead of.
Okay. So I hear cohesiveness. Okay. What else?
You know, like we play basketball together, and when we're out on the court, it's always a competitive thing. But there's not a whole lot of like positive communication. I don't feel like between us. So.
Okay. So better communication.
It's two notes.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I mean, you know, I personally, I'm not gonna come out here and like say I'm afraid to fight, or you know, if you want to fight, we'll fight. But I think that we should probably try to learn to handle our situation a little bit better than almost fighting each other every time. Like even in all of this stuff, we don't need to get physical.
Okay, so lack of physical confrontation, okay? And I think that's the thing that both of you want.
You know, I mean, I don't want to say like I'm afraid to fight or anything like that. Like if that's something, if you want to fight, I'll fight. But I think that clearly we've got to find a better way to handle our stuff than almost coming to blows every time. Like really, that's the only reason we're in this mess in the first place. Like if we were arguing and everything, that is what it is. But we can't be fighting.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's both of you. That hopefully is both of your goals to try to stay away from a physical altercation, because that's just going to create a whole new mess of problems all on its own. So for Patrick, I have cohesiveness, communication, better communication, and just trying to avoid that physical altercation that maybe lead to a fight, do more damage than it would good. So now that we kind of know what Patrick, what he really wants, what he needs, what about you, Calvin? What are some things that you feel are important to you that you feel would help you just have a better basketball career and just time while playing while Patrick is there?
I definitely think that like knowing the plays and like being unselfish while we're playing would be very beneficial to our team. But also like being open to constructive criticism is really important too, because it's okay if you don't know the play or if you have trouble remembering it. But if you can take constructive criticism, then I can help you through it. But I feel like sometimes whenever I try to help you, that you take it the wrong way. And I don't mean it in a bad way, I'm just trying to help you. And since we we don't get along already, you can't see that yet, but I think that would help us, like help the team and help each other if we could be open to that.
Okay, is there anything else?
Maybe just, even when we're just playing like, 3-on-3 and just like at the gym, not even during a game, we just kind of calming down the conversation a little bit because we don't want our players to get hurt. Like, we're a team, and that's kind of when things really get physical between us, is whenever people almost start getting hurt, or people have gotten hurt in the past, and we don't want to end anyone's season, especially one that's on our team.
Okay. Okay, so, let me ask you both this. So now you've kind of both just given me an outline of things that would help you both feel better within just that basketball environment. So, Calvin, you see what Patrick says that would help him feel better, and then Patrick, you see what Calvin says would help him feel better. So, just take a second and think about on each of those things. What do each of those things mean to you whenever they say those things? I'll start with you, Calvin, on this one. So, whenever you see that Patrick says that he needs better cohesiveness on the court, better communication, and that lack of a potential physical altercation that's going to take place, I feel like whenever we look at both of these things, you both have similar goals. Do you all agree or disagree? It looks like, if I'm looking at it, what do you think that the biggest problem between the two of you is?
Definitely communication.
Communication. It looks like you both are having problems communicating with each other and being able to handle different types of communication that maybe you're both used to using or that you like to use, and that it's taken maybe in a way that it shouldn't be taken. And does that sound right or does that sound wrong?
That's right.
What do you think, Patrick?
Well, I think that, for one, I don't hurt anybody. I'm playing hard. That's the only way I know how to play basketball. You play hard. And I'm sorry you're not trying to compete all the time, but if I'm playing, I'm trying to win, so I'm playing hard. And, that's not changing.
Okay. All right. So, Calvin, what do you think?
I just feel like there's a time to play really hard, like they do, and that's during a game. And then there's a time you can still play hard and make your teammates better, but whenever it comes to a point that people are starting to get hurt, you have to figure out that it's too much.
Patrick, do you ever feel like maybe you ever go overboard in terms of the physical play, that even if it's starting to hurt teammates and stuff like that it's maybe doing more bad than good?
I mean, like I said, I don't think I hurt anybody, but if I was hurting somebody, then yeah.
Okay. So now we kind of have gotten out there. So it sounds like primarily communication, just the ability to communicate, though, right? That sounds like a big issue here. So what I kind of want you to each do is just take a step back, and we've kind of addressed like what we need, what each of you might need to have in order to move forward through this. Why don't you just take a step back and just think about maybe things that you could have done that have contributed to this situation? And we've kind of heard you all tell each side of the story and kind of describe like the events. Like, it sounds like for each of you that there's some things that the other person has done that has maybe had a negative impact. Just take a second and just really think on what are some things that you have done that maybe have kind of contributed to what's going on. So what do you think, Cal? Or what do you think, Patrick? I'll start with Patrick. What are some things that you feel like maybe that you have done consistently that might be contributing to what's going on?
Well, first of all, I think that just the situation in itself, like you said, it lends itself to confrontation and to some friction, just from, me and my brother coming into a team that was already a built and successful team, and, we're good players. We came in and we played, and we took minutes away from some people, and filled in and maybe changed roles for other people, stuff like that. And so I could see how that in itself lends itself to tension. And then, I definitely know that I can be confrontational at times, and especially like when I feel kind of like I get defensive, if I feel like I'm being attacked or being talked at a certain type of way. So I could have definitely, in the way that I come off, I could
about you? What are some things that you feel like maybe you've done to kind of contribute to the problem as well?
Maybe like whenever they moved in, I could have helped the team be a little more accepting. Because I know that there was a lot of tension because they did take minutes away from people, but they were better than others. So we're just trying to be more accepting in that fact. Then if I would have done that, maybe he would have taken some of the criticism better. But also I think it's the way that I give criticism. Sometimes I can do it in a condescending way too. So therefore, if I say it in the wrong way, he's gonna take it in the wrong way. And that probably causes a lot of our altercations.
Okay, well, that's great. So it kind of sounds like you're both maybe starting to potentially just see where the other side could be coming from, right? So it's one thing to kind of understand where the other side's coming from, or to even accept maybe where your own fault in the issue is coming. But it's another thing for us to kind of take a step forward and maybe helping you all solve the issue that's at hand. So I keep hearing both of you saying that you don't handle criticism maybe necessarily well, or you get defensive, and you say that you maybe don't give criticism very well. It all sounds like it stems back to that point of communication. I mean, it really, really sounds like that's what it stems back to, and that's where we're at in terms of your main issues, that you both are really struggling communicating. Do you think that that sounds accurate or not? So let's think about this then. Let's talk about this. What do each of you think are some ways that maybe you could communicate better? So that, have you had any recent things that have happened or things that have kind of come up that maybe pushed you into getting into here? Anything like that?
I mean, yeah, we got into an argument the other day playing ball.
Okay, so why don't you tell me about that? I want to hear about that.
Well, we were playing, it was like a pickup game, 4-on-4, 5, and Calvin was out, he was hurt, so he wasn't playing, and or he was sick, and I'm not sure, but he wasn't playing, and so, you know, we're out there actually working hard, playing, trying to get better, and Calvin was on the sidelines talking trash to me, and kind of agitating me. Finally, I just kind of had enough and went over and we got into it and almost kind of got into a physical fight. That's kind of
okay.
Why we're here.
All right, so Calvin, I mean, what do you have to add to that story?
I mean, I just kind of felt like whenever he's on the court, he's kind of being selfish. He just tries to run the ball by himself.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, I was kind of talking trash, but at the same time, I just wanted to realize it's not a one-man team. Whether it's pickup or not, you have to trust each other, and you can't do it by yourself.
Okay. So it sounds like this issue the other day kind of is a little bit of a microcosm of everything that's been going on over the season. Does that sound right? So where are the times then that this confrontation that you all had, this conflict that you all had, maybe went from just being a couple of guys just arguing or just talking about the game or whatever, into becoming nearly physical confrontation? Like, what are the triggers? What happened? Cal, we'll start with you. Like, what do you think triggered you?
I don't know, just watching him play dirty, that people get hurt. That's the main cause, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like, it's just not a team player. I just see it over and over again that he's not a team player. Sometimes there's glimpses of it, but I just see it over and over again where there's.
So let's try this first off. Well, before I get to Patrick, let's kind of maybe try to take a step back, and I get that you feel like he may be critical of you, or that he may be slightly dirty, or just in your opinions. Maybe let's try to take a step back from that, and let's try to because there's two sides to every story, but usually there's a story that's in the middle where both perspectives meet. So let's try to take away those overly negative aspects of maybe name calling or something like that, and try to really converge on one story together of what you both feel like were the causes and then the effects of what happened, so that we can really kind of get to the root maybe of how you all are just coming into conflict after conflict. So I hear you say that you feel like that Patrick is being dirty, that that Patrick is being selfish out there. So it sounds like maybe he's playing hard, but going about it potentially in a way that maybe some guys are getting hurt or hit or something like that, and maybe that's causing some friction in the team that, your teammates and you're still kind of getting into a position where guys are, I don't disagree with the fact that, you want to compete, you all want to do things a certain way, you want to prove yourself, but at the same time, okay, so you hear Calvin say that maybe you're playing dirty, you're doing maybe things that just aren't always team-oriented within a scrimmage, or playing that is just strictly your teammates only. So, I mean, what do you think about that? How do you see that? I mean, what are things that you feel whenever he says those things to you?
I mean, I really don't think that I think calling somebody a dirty player is like a big thing, and I don't think I do that. But I mean, I know I play hard. I'm physical. If there's a loose ball, I'm gonna dive on it, and if you're there, you might get hit. If there's a rebound and I'm going up to grab it, you might get hit. Like, I'm going to get a rebound, and so I understand that some people don't play that way and some people don't like it is uncomfortable. It's supposed to, that's why you play hard. It makes the other team uncomfortable. So I mean, I think that's what it is. I think I'm physical, and I mean, I get it too. Sometimes I might grab a shirt or something like that to get a little bit of an advantage, which probably isn't the best.
So, Calvin, you hear Patrick saying this. Let's really kind of talk about where maybe, because it sounds like it could be a major, contributor. First off, not only communication that we struggle with, but maybe this is a thing that maybe incites a lot of your problems, that where we get to this point and then the communication becomes even more of a problem because you don't want to talk or you're mad. So where do you think is the line then in terms of being, because you don't want to compromise who you are as a player. You're playing hard, that's who you are, that's what you do, and that's very respectable. But on the other hand, you have a team captain here and a teammate here saying that sometimes your hard play is construed as maybe cheap, or that it gets other people hurt. So where's the fine line there that maybe you both can talk about and maybe avoid those type of situations? I mean, what do you think? Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
I think it's just going to come down to, like you said, the communication part. Because, I mean, with that, we've just got to be able to talk to each other and get things worked out.
Okay. Calvin, what do you think?
I mean, part of it is that, I can't appreciate playing hard. I think that is something that we needed in the program, honestly, whenever they came here, I think it kind of got everybody going, that everyone's been playing harder since they've got here. But I do think there needs to be a fine line of how hard do you play in a pickup game. So maybe we can come up with some, in a game, we go all out.
Yeah.
But in a pickup game, we still play hard to make each other better, but maybe we can figure out, a happy medium between the two.
So let me see if this sounds right for both of you. Maybe whenever you all are playing together and Patrick's playing hard, you're playing hard, you're competing, maybe when things start to kind of shift into that area, maybe they can be dirty, where there's an elbow thrown or something like that, maybe you can offer constructive criticism or just a thought, or just say hey man, that's a little much, can you relax on that? And then maybe you might be able to take that and go with it, rather than you being critical towards him and then him being defensive back. Because I feel like that is, the issue with a lot of the communication that's happening here. What do you think about that?
So, I mean, I think, can we set up some sort of safe word or some sort of phrase that we know means hey, Patrick, you're playing too dirty, it's getting out of hand. Wrangle it in. That way it's not, you attacking me and then me getting defensive over some stuff that in that situation, I can probably comprehend that, okay, yeah, that's not good. And then we can kind of go from there. Because I want to be a part of this team. I'm not going to risk getting kicked off this team for some dumb stuff like this. But we got to come up with something, because, like I said, I'm not gonna sit there and just take it. And I know you're not either, so we gotta come up with some way that we can get on the same page.
Okay, Calvin, what do you think about that?
Honestly, I think that could work as long as, I mean, this is gonna sound kinda weird, but only you and I know about it. Like, I think it only is be between you and I, because if other players start using it too, it might just become a joke.
No, I think for sure, just
And then we really only need to use it like when we're being dead serious, like it doesn't need to be a joke. And,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So it sounds like to me, both of you want to maybe develop some sort of word or phrase that each of you can use maybe whenever the other is maybe pushing your buttons, I guess, that just kind of let the other person know that like what's happening, like whenever he comes at you in a way that,
Well, I just think on the basketball court, like that'll fix that problem. Like, you know, with me being, if I'm playing dirty and he thinks that instead, or if I'm doing something like wrong and he thinks that I need to quit, instead of him, you know, coming to me and maybe being like, quit being, you know, quit being selfish or quit trying to hurt everybody, you know, that kind of stuff. Says instead of saying like I'm a dirty player, that it's gonna get me to be defensive and like come back at him on the court and in those situations. That like if we know like, hey, I'm not trying to be mean about it, I'm not trying to like come at you wrong, I'm just trying to bring it to your attention. If I know like that's what this word or phrase means, then maybe I'll be better like coming back at it.
do you think that you both think the word should just be one-sided, something that Calvin says to Patrick, or do you think it's something that you can both utilize?
Well, it seems like we could, I guess we could both use it.
So in what way, I mean, you've talked about ways that the word might be effective for you and letting you know that it's being used. What about for you, Calvin? I mean, what do you
I
think?
feel like if he were to use it, maybe it's a time whenever I need to leave him alone, let him cool off a little bit, like maybe whenever he needs space. Cause, I mean, he's a really hard player, and whenever things get physical, there's usually anger involved. And therefore, you know, whenever I think he's getting too physical, I use the phrase, and whenever I need to just shut up, he needs to tell me that, and I need to learn to give him space, and we can help us not, you know.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so let's try this then. So we're gonna take a month between this session and the next, and I wanna test this idea out.
What's our word?
Yeah, what do you think, what do you each think a good word would be?
What's it?
Pineapple.
Pineapple?
Is it, I mean,
I like
maybe not,
pineapple.
maybe it'd be pineapple?
I like pineapple.
Pineapple.
Okay, so,
Pineapple sweets.
so we'll try pineapple out then, and let that try to be your word. And so whenever each of you feels like maybe things are starting to escalate, that you can use the word to maybe get the other to back off, or just to be like, hey, so I think that this really does address maybe the main issue of communication, and I want to see how this works. Let's see if it's something that you all feel like can be useful to you both, and we'll check back, all right? So let's do this then. So in 1 month, we'll meet back here. We're gonna try whenever situations start to escalate or whatever, we're each gonna try to see if pineapple will work, okay? And we'll just use the word, we'll use the safe word or the phrasing that'll maybe alert the other person of it, and we'll see if this will help. And we'll try that for 1 month, and then we'll meet back here and see how things go, all right? So what I'd like for each of you to do here, and I'm gonna write this up, so this will say that you all are each going to agree for 1 month to try to use a safe word if things escalate or get out of hand between you two. So what I would like for each of you to do is to just sign for me, stating that you all are both agreeing to this, and then in a month from now, I want you to make sure that you're keeping track of times that you use this word, when things happen, and then whenever we do meet back, we can kind of share those and see how that went. And if it's not effective, then that's fine. We can work on a new strategy. But for the time being, I think that this is a good idea that can maybe help alleviate the problem. Okay?
Sounds like a plan, boss.
All right, so do either of you have any questions for me then? All right, so it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you both coming in. Thank you very much.